Hey, everybody. Welcome
there.
back. How's
Well-
everybody doing? Go ahead.
Welcome to the Oddcast podcast, Off the Record. We are glad to be with you tonight.
We'd like to thank everybody for coming back and supporting us. We really appreciate that.
Yes.
Again, we're here just for you guys to learn things. We learn from you, and that's the way I think it all needs to be. And we appreciate you coming back. Oh, we'd also like to wish everybody, not everybody, but all you mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. Gentlemen, love your moms while they're here. My mom's still alive. I love her to death. I hope she's having a good day. She's 242 miles away. And Erica unfortunately lost her mom a few years back.
9 years ago.
Yeah. So love them while they're here.
Mhm.
Respect them, call them, do your thing.
Absolutely. So tonight will be a fun topic. It is, hey, Brother Billy, that was funny. Okay, so it's lighthearted and it will be interactive if you should choose to. In chat, we'll be showing some images and looking for your input. Okay, so it will be interactive if you want to. But we are going to start. So the topic is pareidolia. And to begin with, though, we have a different term, which is apophenia. And according to Psychology Today, they define it as apophenia is a broad concept involving perception in anything from the sequence of numbers in lottery wins to a pattern in statistical data. Examples of this could include good luck charms, psychic readings, or seeing Jesus in a piece of toast
Burnt piece
and
of toast.
claiming it's a miracle.
Yeah, it's having a reason by putting a reason by what you're saying. So if you're seeing, if you see, and it's a prime example because I've seen this many times, Mother Mary on a wall. I know that in South America, somebody's seen that, or Jesus on a piece of toast, and think that an incoming miracle is going to happen, or something is going on. That's basically what apophenia is.
Mm-hmm. So the mother of that, if you want to say, we're going to backtrack, is pareidolia. That's the main topic of today. And Psychology Today, according to them, pareidolia is a phenomenon wherein people perceive likenesses on random images, such as faces, animals, or objects on clouds and rock formations. So I think probably objects on clouds would be the most popular that people claim they've seen.
We've all sat with somebody on a front porch or whatever, or out in the yard or on a hood of a car and just looked at the sky and say, hey, look, that looks like a horse or whatever. And the other person looks at you crazily and says, what? And then they'll say, oh, that looks like a cow over there, something like that. That's what pareidolia is. And it's fun to talk about. It's a fun topic. But yeah, so let me see what we got here. We're going to begin our discussion on it. And we've got a few things. We got pictures we want to show to let you know about what it is. And we're also going to talk about how it relates, because I'm sure a lot of the people in the cryptid, paranormal, and UFO communities have been told that, well, what you see is pareidolia. And that's why we wanted to talk about this, because I think, it needs to be known. Anyway, so we're going to, you're going to show pictures first?
Yeah, we're going to show pictures. We'll show a few different sets of pictures and get your opinion.
Yeah, in chat, tell us what you think you see. And, this one seems to me obvious, but then again, one of the things I can tell you is that from birth, the first thing we really notice are faces. That's kind of been, through generations and generations and generations, we've developed enough that we see faces. When a baby looks at its mom for the first time, it usually smiles, but it has probably no idea why it smiles, because they're not really supposed to be able to see. But as it progresses, that baby, knows who its mom is, knows who its dad is, and smiles when it sees them. And then usually they freak out over strangers.
Mhm.
And we just progress with that over time. When, you see, different, what's the word I'm looking for? Different expressions on people's faces. You can tell if they're angry, if they're sad, if they're happy, all of these different things. And that's kind of different versions of pareidolia. So tell us what you think you see on these pictures.
We've already gotten some input. I saw that Bobby said a face, and Lavone said face and owl eyes. And this was on the previous image, not the one we're showing now. Face in the clouds from Justin. Okay, so we will move on
Socrates,
here.
I like that. Hey, that's going outside the box, Byro. Nice.
Yeah. Okay, let me get you some more.
So this was a subject that was Erica came up with. We were going to talk about, and we'll do it on another episode. We were going to do a topic on dreams and nightmares and their meanings. And when we got to investigating or researching that, it got to be, there is so much to dreams and what you can read out of dreams. So we decided to do the pareidolia because it actually relates to the cryptid community, and a lot of you are friends here are into the cryptid communities as well.
Right.
So just to give you an understanding of why we wanted to do this show. So when somebody says that what you're seeing is not real, you can, whatever. And I will suggest this. And I know our good friend Spencer is not a fan of the red circles. The reason I say that is because you want people to see the uncut picture. So you don't want anybody to do anything with you. You can zoom in a little bit. You saw what you saw.
Yeah.
And you should be the one that believes that you saw what you saw. In my opinion, maybe both of ours, leave the picture pure and ask somebody if you see anything.
Right.
Because when you circle something, now you're putting it in their head that they're supposed to see something there, which could make it basically a false, oh yeah, I see it.
It becomes a suggestion.
And the reason I say that is our good friend Jerry at Old Line Cryptids posted his picture, one of his pictures, and I saw it right away without even telling me where it was. That's the kind of things. And people outside the community, the paranormal, UFO, and Bigfoot communities, use pareidolia as the excuse why you're seeing what you're seeing. You stick to your guns. If you believe you saw what you saw, you stay with that.
Mm-hmm. So here we go again. Bobby and Jeff and Justin are on it. That last one was what
Definitely.
we think is a dolphin. So,
and when researching this, please be careful. AI is a crazy thing.
Yes.
And a lot of those images we ran into, we tried to pick the most realistic ones, but some of the faces on some of these, and we'll get into some of them, were just outrageous. And I couldn't believe that they were true. So we leave it up to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things also is superstition involved in pareidolia. And it would be like seeing a face in the cloud, a formation of some sort, and then putting some sort of supernatural significance. And that's where we talked about apophenia before a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the same thing as pareidolia. In fact, they can get confused.
Mm-hmm.
And
there were conflicting definitions when we were doing our research. So that's why I quoted Psychology Today, because they let it out as a definition. So
and I'm sure, and I can't say that everybody, I'm sure some of you might have done at one time a Rorschach test. And a Rorschach test is pareidolia. They're asking what you see, and the next person probably won't see the same thing you see. So that's what that's kind of what you have to look at.
So on this one, we're having varying opinions on what they see. And Lavone, I have to put, that's the bull on that movie. Forgot the name. I'm not sure, but skull face from Justin, which is what I saw. And let's see what else. Art says, what the heck? Okay. So Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like a skeleton, so kind of a skull.
Yeah, it looks like a skull to
Mhm.
me. But see, here's also
Oh, I love how I'm still trying to get to it. Oh, Wilson.
good. That's a good one. Yeah.
What is that movie? Tom Hanks?
Castaway.
Thank you. We're getting
That's
there.
yeah. But see, here's the neat thing is we're not asking you, hey, do you see a skull?
Right.
You're seeing that yourself. You're seeing it yourself. And that's the way I think it needs to be
Right.
in the cryptid UFO paranormal communities.
Yeah.
Let people see what they need to see. If it agrees, if they see what you see, then there you go. You can talk about it. But
Mhm.
once you tell somebody, you know, this was probably my favorite. I remember seeing this years ago. But once you tell somebody, then they're going to probably see the same. Oh, okay, yeah, I see that.
Right. We don't want the power of suggestion.
Right.
But so we don't, I mean, these aren't our pictures, so I just want that to be known. But pretty soon we're going to go through another category and then we'll send out a link for anybody who wants to join the show. We just wanted to get that establishment of what we're talking about with pareidolia. So no, Wilson didn't. That would be alarming.
I think we should be glad Wilson didn't have any lines in the movie.
I remembered the object.
That would be schizophrenia, by the way.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we'll move on to the next topic or the next category of pictures. And we have several, so this will be interesting. This is not a far stretch, though.
We're getting there, people.
We're good. This is
Here we go.
interesting.
So write in what you think you see. It's everywhere. Pareidolia is everywhere.
Mhm.
It's in, and you'll see it's in automotive cars, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, it's in trees. It's on fences. It's everywhere, and it's just most people. A lot of people probably don't go through life with not even seeing anything like that. You know, but now that you know what pareidolia is, you'll probably pay a little more attention.
Right.
And why not? It's fun. I mean, there's a lot of funny, you know, there you go right there. That's a pretty funny look, a couple of branches and a knot, but it looks like a face with nostrils.
It's so funny. And also, we don't know if any of these images have been computer generated. So we're just taking them at face value. And
that is Groot. Nice.
That's awesome. That's
Groot.
funny. That is so cute.
To rock formations. Now that's, you know, there's going to be some very famous, I won't say very famous rock formations you're going to see. And you might have seen the pictures before, but you know, this is just some interesting things. Okay, here, click on that one. I think this is probably one of the most famous.
So is the moon.
Is it the moon or Venus?
Oh,
either or.
it was the moon.
So one of the things I've got to say about that is we all see a face right there. I don't know what all the little black dots are on there, but we see a face. Well, in the new resolution of photos that NASA has done, there's really no face. So they're saying that these are, you know, shadows and everything else. And, you know, whatever, you know, they obviously want to kill us. Yeah. Right, Justin. They obviously want to tell us what they want us to know. But what if this is a face? And because I can tell you from experience and watching a lot of shows, NASA has been proven to blur out things or change the look of an environment on a planet. Well, they say it's a planet to, you know, sort of lead us astray on what we're seeing.
This is a perfect example, Jeff. My grandfather used to put faces on a tree. And that's why I'm saying these aren't our photos, so we don't know. We can't justify what was going on there. And some may be fake. I don't know. But that's a great example. So thank you for saying
I told
that.
her we had a neighbor across the street where we used to live that was, he liked kids. Anyway, we were going to put big eyeballs on our tree, so it was constantly watching his house. Every time he came out of his house, we had
You can't do that.
big googly eyes on. Yeah, she told me I can't do that, but I was gonna.
Sometimes you just have to keep your feelings inside.
Yeah, I could have done other things, but anyway.
Okay, so this is actually like our nature category. So here's one more. That's kind of sad or scary or however you want to look at it.
He looks like he's had a rough life.
It definitely looks that way.
Yeah, it's so just, kind of pay attention around you and you get to see fun things like this. I know driving down the road, I'll see the front end of a vehicle and kind of like, well, that car's smiling at us.
Yeah, we're actually going to move on to automobiles, but I'm going to share the link to our show if you want to join, especially if you have a story yourself. If you have anything you can describe, we would absolutely love to hear. And again, thank you everybody for being here. We appreciate it and we enjoy you all.
Next. We hope everybody's having a great Mother's Day. Hope you get to spend time with your mom.
Definitely.
Here we go. He's a happy little car. It's almost like, and you've seen they have kits out for like Mazda Miatas and cars that sit low to the ground. Volkswagens, I think, one where they have kits where you can put eyelashes on your car and
oh yeah,
and teeth like tomater from cars, and that's kind of silly. But hey, these are just different, kind of showing you what. Well, no, not kind of showing you what pareidolia is, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen that. And I think of, like, you'll see later, I took pictures of our fence, our privacy fence, and it's got faces in it. We have pine boards for ceilings or for ceiling, and it's got numerous what look like faces on it.
Yeah, these are just brief.
Yeah, we're not doing too many of these.
You can. It's pretty obvious if you can see it. And then we got
my favorite.
A real cute one.
Yeah, he looked like he's contradicting the car next to him, or not real happy about who's parked next to him. So, but that's these are just examples.
Yeah. And it's not really like a question and answer type show tonight. But if you have questions, let us know. Put it in all caps. And it's kind of more just fun.
When if you decide you want to learn more about pareidolia, trust me, there's YouTube page after YouTube page. There's books on it. I highly suggest it. There's so many different types of pareidolia. We saw one that was really interesting. It was like an old Halloween mask, and the kind that has a rubber band that you put around your face. And as they take it, it faces you. And as they spin it, the face on the back sticks out at you, but it's not really doing it.
Even though it's inverted.
Yeah. It's just playing games with your mind. And I'm sure a lot of you have done puzzles not puzzles, seen memes on Facebook that, might be a bunch of different lines, but when you stare at it, it starts moving, but it's not really moving. It's just pareidolia. It's just what your brain is seeing. I don't know how it does it, but that's what it does.
So we're on to animals now. And that last one was just adorable. This one, obviously, you can see too what it is.
I'd be interested to see what that dog's face looks like, if it looks like that one.
It's so cute. So then we have one that's similar, but definitely not the same.
Oh yeah, this one's, there you go. I think we all know what creature that is, but upside down from the bottom.
That's pretty awesome, in my opinion.
It's more reason for you to hate sharks, because it's the devil. If you look at that, the way I look at that, you see a wide open mouth with teeth, two eyes, or excuse me, a nose, two eyes, and then on its fins, it looks like horns.
Yeah, it's pretty Hmm. I mean, but if you go upside down, it makes sense then.
Right. Right.
Okay, so we will move on to another category, and this one, in my opinion, is pretty stinking funny. Probably one of my favorites.
I'll tie this together. We'll tie this together near the end and let you know why we did this show.
It's food category, even though this is not, it's in the kitchen.
That's a happy little cup of coffee.
And
or whatever it is.
it's not, that was probably barista related, even though there are way more artistic ways now. But that's one way it can be done. But we're talking about not fabricated or not something that you have worked on, just something that's actually natural.
So we were talking. Oh, wait, never mind.
This
So
is pretty funny to me.
And I think this is why I don't like red peppers.
Whatever.
They scare the crap out of me. Looks like it's screaming at me.
It does look like it's screaming. All right, here you go.
Yeah, it looks like that.
We got another ghoul there.
Like that. It's either, it could look like a duck from the bottom. If you look, that could be a duck bill and then two yellow eyes.
I mean, that could be
but
a lot of things.
To me, it definitely looks like a ghost running from egg. It's afraid of the egg.
That's so
God,
funny. Yeah, so open to interpretation. Yeah, ghost eggs. That's so cute. Okay, so we will
absolutely, William.
Do this.
Absolutely, and we're going to get to that topic here too.
Yes, you're so right, William. And here we go.
So, the story on the toast, if I am correct in looking at this, no, it wasn't the toast, but the toast raised a lot of eyebrows because if you look close enough, you see what you see, and same with the other piece. I'm curious of what you guys see in the burnt toast, or is it just burnt toast?
Mm-hmm.
It's, it's kind of up in the air with people. Some people will see it and some people don't, but that's what pareidolia is. Yeah. It's, and go when we're researching pareidolia and apophenia, I said that right. Yep. You see all kinds of things. And like William said up in chat, that a lot of people use it for art, whether it be, AI generated or actual art. And we're going to show you some actual pareidolia art that the artists did on purpose. And I'm sure some of you have seen it on Facebook or, even Twitter, people posting pictures, but they're really, really talented artists, whoever, if it's not AI.
Yeah. And it's a shame if anybody, fakes this or fabricates and then tries to make money. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
I will say that AI is not my friend.
Okay. We have one more in this category.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't even know.
There you go.
That's horrible. That's so scary.
It's like, I do not want to stick my hand in there or put any stuffing in that thing. There's no way.
Okay. Well, we have another category.
So we're just giving you examples of different types of pareidolia. You can see it if you want. Most people don't pay attention to it. I have a sense of humor, so when I see something, I'm like, oh, this is pretty funny. Look at this, honey. It looks like a squirrel, or it looks like this.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're getting into, well, these are, here we go. This one was funny to me. I think we can all determine what that is,
yeah.
But.
Did you get that eyeball one?
There were some other ones. I just
We went through
minimized
literally
how many
hundreds
we
of
had.
hundreds of pictures and looked, and there's so many you could look at. And yeah, what I say again, if you're interested, research.
Absolutely. Okay, this is one of my favorite topics because they are the most hilarious, in my opinion.
William, that's a good one of the Easter Island heads. Yeah, I'll agree with that
Oh,
one.
wow.
Hey,
Okay.
Moggs. Hey, everybody.
Yep. Hey, everybody.
There you go. These are fun ones.
It's cute.
Yeah. Now, if somebody did that on purpose, good for them. But who knows if they did or not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know the buildings, i.e. this one, he looks very surprised. Like we weren't supposed to be looking, and then it caught us looking.
And another building.
This is a very actually famous picture. I believe it's a church in Florida.
I think it said it was Florida.
But it's fun looking at these.
Absolutely. And it kind of reminds me, I have that tendency to look for patterns and see what I can identify, the least obvious things. I like, that's actually fun to me. And kind of those seek and find
Puzzles.
Yeah. I love that. Like, I don't feel like I'll ever be too old for that. Here's another one that's kind of similar. Okay, let's see.
So if you guys have wooden houses, if you have cabins, or if you're out in the woods, just kind of look. If you want to get a little chuckle, look at some trees and see if you see anything.
Mm-hmm. Like this.
Yeah, that's
that's a little disturbing, I think.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
And Gary, I've got one. Well, she's got one. I'll go out and look at that.
Yeah, we'll take a look and see. That's interesting. Is there a reason that you do that?
Which one looks like a bird, Diane?
Well, it's probably not the last one.
Is it that one?
Probably this one.
Oh, see, I love it.
Yeah, Diane, teeth, definitely for sure the last one.
Yeah, William, I'm with you on the hills have eyes on this one. Yeah, I don't want to see that. Wake up to that.
No. Okay. Thank you, Gary. That's awesome. I guess we have a lot to learn from you. I would be interested. Okay, so let's see here. Do this one. And then we got a couple more in the construction, housing category. It's pretty funny.
So I looked at a bunch of different questions when I came up with some of my own and then Googled those. And one of them was, do we give these images emotions and personalities? And of course we do. This little fellow right here, he looks like he's just having a grand old day. And if anybody knows what that is an outlet in Europe. That's how their outlets are, I guess. So that's why we can't use any American stuff over there. But there you got your cup of coffee with a big smiley face. You've got the whatever that thing is flipping you off. You got the mad mop and the smiley airplane. He looks really happy to take people somewhere. So, yeah. I mean, that's what I see. I shouldn't even be saying that. You guys are supposed to see what you see.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see here.
Oh, and we'll tell you too, we wanted to do a fun show.
Mm-hmm.
We might do shorts next week, but, yeah. And if we can somehow do a show, we will. She's on vacation. She's not our work. Yeah, she's on vacation and we're doing something. I don't know what it is. So,
yep, it's a surprise for Chad. Okay, I put another link on there. We'll do our next category. Let's see here.
I want to tell you guys something too. I read that there was a Cheeto. I don't know how many years ago this was. I remember hearing about it. That apparently looked like Harambe. If you guys remember Harambe, we're from Ohio originally. So Cincinnati Zoo was where Harambe was. And I believe a child fell in the enclosure and they ended up killing Harambe. And seeing the video, Harambe was actually being very, gentle with the kid. Well, somebody found Cheeto, and it looked like Harambe. Now, that it's kind of a far stretch, but it ended up selling on eBay. This is tough to say, for $99,000, a Cheeto. And then we just read another story where a lady sold as a trick, not a trick, a prank, sold a Pop-Tart with Pope John's face on it after he passed. I guess Pope John Paul. And the United States, some government organization that houses antiquities, they were doing a Pope thing, and they bought it for her for around $50. So she sold a Pop-Tart.
Oh, that was the library? No.
Library of Congress.
Okay.
Yeah, Library of Congress. So imagine that waste. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Watch your Cheetos, Art says.
Yeah. Or start going through your Cheetos. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, William says, I've seen the John Paul II Pop-Tart.
Yep. Could you actually see it, William? I couldn't tell. And that's what pareidolia is. Some people see it. We got Milkman.
I think they called it the Pope Tart.
Yeah, Pope Tart.
Actual name.
Absolutely.
Okay. Our last one, which is really quick, is
hang on, Jeffro.
Is we're gonna just bypass our last one, which was only one picture. It was the art category. Okay. We've got two guests here. We're happy to have them. First, we've got the milkman.
Mr. Yarrington.
Hey, Jeff. And then we got Winclan.
Hey, finally get to meet Winclan.
Awesome.
Good to see you. Hey, Cam.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks for getting on, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. And Ken, congratulations again on your graduation. That is awesome.
Thank you.
So have y'all had anything you've seen, or I actually had pictures added of, I had two pictures. One was our fence and one was one of our ceiling.
Yeah.
But for some reason they didn't transfer over. But have y'all had any that really stick out? It doesn't have to be personal. It can just be things that you've seen on the internet.
I had a cow once that looked like it had what looked like almost a deformed Mickey Mouse head on the side of it.
Oh.
Okay. They're probably with the Holstein. I don't know what kind of cows you have, but isn't Holstein?
Yeah, mostly Holstein.
Okay. Yeah, the Holstein cows, they've probably got all kinds of different things. You saw the dogs with the dog faces on them. And again, I'm going to tie this together near the end. Well, I might do it since you guys are here sooner. Ken, have you seen anything like that?
I've seen a lot of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Well, do tell.
I do have a story.
Okay.
And this is just an example of how I used to think and how I think now, the difference. Years ago, I was working in a job in a library, and we had someone come in. It was a lady, and she was pale as a ghost, but she was convinced that she was a Native American. She had seen a feather in the clouds, a white feather. Mm. And so she took that to mean her name was White Feather. So that's the name she went by. Wow. And of course, at that time, I thought it was hilarious that she said that. But now I'm like, maybe she was Native. Maybe that was a sign for her. Who am I to say or judge?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I mean, you don't know what people are feeling at that time. You don't know what people are going through.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My son is, obviously he's Native too, but you wouldn't know it to look at him. He's lighter skinned, blonde hair, blue eyes. Yeah. And it doesn't always show. People have this stereotypical thing in their mind of what a Native person looks like. But I know a lot of people that say they're siblings and they're both Native, have the same parents, but one sibling may be light skinned, one may be dark skinned.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and that's how it goes.
I'm not Native, but you know,
Are
plain
you
Jane
sure?
over here, I'll call it.
I was going to say, are you sure?
But Chad has
Sure.
always said, I have a brother and a sister, and he's always said, if y'all were in a room full of people, I would have never guessed that y'all are, and we have the same parents, but he's like, I would have never guessed that y'all are siblings.
Hey, Ken,
Well-
could you give us a little example, a little background information about you? I'm really interested in that.
Yes, so am I.
Well, what do you want to know?
Well, I know that you're Wing Clan Ken, so obviously you have Native American background. What tribe? What?
I am a member of the Porch Band of Creek Indians in Atmore, Alabama,
Okay.
and
Why is
I'm
everybody on here from Alabama?
yeah, I live in LA. I tell everybody I'm from LA. Excuse me. LA is Lower Alabama.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm right down on the Florida line. Excuse me, got a frog. And I'm just I'm right on the line due north of Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
And I live it's about a 40-minute drive up to Flat Rocks.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh,
I was going to
wow.
say, you have to be close to that.
Yeah, I am. And it's funny because Flat Rock and I both, our names are Ken. His dog is a male. It's named Boo. My dog is female named Boo Boo. And he's also
I've seen
Creek
some
descent.
similarities.
Oh, is he?
Okay.
Okay.
He's
Oh,
also
I
Creek.
didn't know that.
Creek descent. Yeah. And I was asking him here a while back about some of his ancestry, and he has a lot of the Wards, last name of Wards, and they live. A lot of Wards live just south of me, down in Escambia County, Florida.
Mhm.
But anyway, those Wards, they all go back to the Manaks, who I go back to also. So distantly, he and I are cousins.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We have a comment. William wants to know what town. He said we're neighbors, and he said that William Robinson. He said he's in Orange Beach.
Right.
If you want to share, you don't have to share.
That's fine. I am near Flomaton, Alabama. Everybody calls it Flomation or Flomaton. They always get it mixed up. It's Flomaton, Alabama, and that's in the
Okay.
Escambia
You there?
County.
We probably went.
We went through there on our way to
Panama
Panama City, I believe.
I
Yeah,
mean,
you
we
can go through there. Going,
we're
right,
not far at all.
right, and I'm about 3 miles outside of town.
Okay.
So I'm out in the woods.
Good for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to live there. Too big a city. Population about
I don't have any
1,800.
Indian blood. I'm all German and Welsh.
You look
yeah.
like you'd be like Nordic.
I do, don't I?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
The only problem is I'm 5'6", so I don't know where that fits into the.
Well, I know on one of the shows I called you Gimli from Lord of the Rings, and he was the Viking of the whatever that wore the helmet and everything, and he's real short too. That's why.
I do look like one of those battle dwarfs or something, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
back to Ken.
oh, sorry.
Have you had experiences? You said you have stories. Oh, he's frozen.
Oh,
There you are.
He's back.
Okay.
and once he's done, I can tell you some of the stuff I've seen,
Okay.
as far as
Awesome.
pictures I've took.
Yeah. Ken, are there any things that you've seen or pictures that you've taken that, whatever firsthand you've had, or again, if it's something you've seen that you'd like to share that wasn't your material?
I had a really close friend. She was also a cousin, and she took some pictures. This has been several years ago, and she's no longer with us. She passed away. But up in Lowndes County is a battle site where Creek Village was attacked during the war. The Creek Village was named Holy Ground. And Lowndes County, that's also where Mark Green had his first encounter when he
Yeah.
was hunting up there in
Okay.
Lowndes County.
You know?
So it's not far from that at all. But she had gone up there they were doing an archaeological dig and study up there. They were trying to pinpoint the exact location of where that was at. And my cousin, she got to go up there, and she was taking pictures everywhere. And if you research that battle, there were a lot of the Creeks that were killed, and there were a lot of children that were left as orphans as a result. But in some of the pictures that she took, I looked and I could see faces among the trees. And what was unique about it is they all were very small, and they looked like they were Creek people, but they were very small. And of course, in our culture and most Native cultures, we have the little people. And so in discussing that with her and talking back and forth, we were convinced that those were the little people. And in our language, we call them Estilabustiji, little people. They are known to be tricksters. They also are known to kind of look after children as well. So I thought that was really interesting because it really brought out a lot of emotion to me. Thinking about the children that were left there as orphans.
Absolutely.
And, I thought about that the Istilabustiji were looking after the children after that. But I wish I had the picture, that I could send, we could show it. But
Yeah.
it was
that's-
just our interpretation, but the thing
Yeah.
with pareidolia, it's all about interpretation.
Absolutely.
And it's still an amazing story, even though you don't have the picture, you have that memory, and it sounds like it really touched you, and that touched me here in the story.
Yeah, that really, that was really one of the first times I started really looking at pictures that I would take or other people would take. And I've seen lots of things. Just about every picture I take, I can look back and see something. And I'm like,
You're right
this is-
about that, Ken.
yeah, you can
Because
find.
I've seen the same thing. I go back and look at stuff, and I'm like, well, I didn't notice that.
Absolutely.
I'm
Yeah,
pulling
that
a
happened
couple right now.
recently.
And that's why I suggest to people, don't circle things, because you want people to use their imagination to see if they see what you see. If they don't,
Exactly.
that's no big deal. That's just how we work. That's how we're wired. But there's a lot of times, and there's examples that I've had, we're on these shows where people have brought out their pictures, and I'm like, I see exactly what you're talking about. Or, I know I mentioned earlier, Jerry on Old Line Cryptids brought out a picture, and he said, "Do you see anything?" And right away, I was like, "There's a face right there," and he said, "That's what I'm talking about." So that, to me, it leaves an open mind when you start circling what you need to see. And I again go back to Spencer. When you start circling something, you're automatically putting that thought in somebody's head that they need to look right there. And actually, there could be faces elsewhere. There could be something else that you might see. Whether you believe it is what it is, that's your opinion. I'll touch on Bigfoot, cryptids, UFO, paranormal stuff, ghosts. Ken, what you're talking about, we call them ghosts or spirits. Some people say they don't exist, that it's not real. You saw what you saw. Okay. You could post that picture and other people are going to see what they see. And that's how our brains work. We're not all wired the same. And that's for damn sure. But that's what I want people to do, is just go in with open minds. When you see a picture or take a picture of something you've seen and you share it with other people, don't get mad because they don't see it.
Right.
That happens in this community. Exactly what happens. Somebody will say, "Look, I took this picture," and I'll look at it, and I myself don't see a thing. And then they'll point and go, "Oh, right here it is." And now I'm seeing they're trying to get me to see what they saw. There's a lot of seesaws in this, but that's just You can't be that way. Let somebody look at the picture and take away their own views of it. Let them view what they want to view. I think that's a thing that kills a lot of the Bigfoot community, is people circling and saying, there it is right there. Show me the picture. If I have to zoom in and see something, then I'll do that. But I think that's kind of what gives the whole UFO cryptid paranormal thing. One of the examples that I saw was somebody does a ghost investigation at a house. And while they're doing that, their camera's going all over the place and different light beams might be shining in and this, that, and the other. And they'll go outside and take pictures of the house. And, there might be a light reflect. You have to keep an open mind with all of that. Their heart might think it's a ghost. But when you go back and look at the pictures, you also have to think, could it be the light? Could it be this? And I'm not trying to discredit anybody at all. It's just, you have to go in with an open mind both ways. You can't just go, that was this. Well, it looked like that. Could it be this? Could it be a light thing? Could it be a dark shade thing?
Or the equipment they were using. There's so many things. But in your heart, if you saw what you saw and you believe it, then 100%. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, if you see something too, before you take the picture, if you see something that's moving, you see movement, then you take a picture. That picture may come out to look like it's just, pareidolia to most people, but they were not there. They didn't see the movement.
100%.
Or they may have heard something as well.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when we were researching it. I just thought of a face and like your nose, and you might be shaped. If somebody's looking at your face, it takes a split second for that to all change. They may be looking at you and they can see your nose, but then when you get your camera out, things could change so quickly.
Cameras change so much. I don't know what it is. It's funny you mentioned that, because Greg and I was on the phone with him earlier today. And, we were talking about how some things look different in pictures after you've taken them, and then they get all distorted.
Well, we've all talked about this on different shows of how it could be the energy that's being emitted from whatever you're seeing is not, is messing with the camera, or, talked about like the predator and the type of camouflage that some things could have. And that's how it works. It's made to blur so you can't see it on a camera. You can't take a picture of it. I don't know.
I was trying to find one of the ones. I don't know where it is. I posted it a while back on Woodwalkers, and I was looking in my phone trying to find it, and I can't find it. So I don't. Everything else is in there, but I couldn't find that one.
Hey, Ken, may I ask you?
I saw that one the other day that I showed you after the show, of that thing that looked like it was in the bushes. You could see that little face.
Yep. Ken, I have a question. I would love, and probably this isn't the place to do it, but you're here. I would love to do a show with you and David Beasley and maybe Pyro about Indian heritage and
Flat Rock
and just have all you. And that's what it's about, is maybe folklore, the creatures in the Indian. I know every tribe is different, but a lot of them probably have the same. So I would love to have, or we would love to have you guys on for that sometime and do like a round table. Would you be into doing it? Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
We'd love to get Ken on Old Line Cryptids to talk about some stuff, because I'm sure he's got plenty of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, it comes down to narrowing things down, because there's so much. So many different directions you can go.
I wish I knew more about I got to look more into the history of, there used to be a tribe down here on the river, on the Susquehanna, called the Susquehannocks. And I don't know if there's many of them left anymore. I don't even know if we really have much of a population of natives anymore around here. I mean, I know there's a few, but I'm not.
They all probably moved to Florida. When you get up in age, you want to go to the warm places, Jeff.
Yeah. I'm not even
Go
sure
down
if there's like any reservations or anything in Pennsylvania there might be.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, Ken, I'd love to hear about your culture and your traditions and the heritage and the cooking. I would love to hear about that if you ever want to talk. So
Sure.
different show, but
Before we get too off topic, because I don't care where this goes after this, one of the reasons she picked the topic for tonight, and we were originally going to do a dream topic and the meanings of dreams. Well, when we started researching this, I kind of felt a little overwhelmed about trying to read your dreams and what they mean and what they could mean or whatever, because it went to a point where if you were flying, it meant this. But if you're wearing these type of pants in your dream or a hat, it could mean this and it could mean this.
Mhm.
So there was so much to it that I need to cut it down to a smaller type of show, because I am not going to spend, hours and hours and hours discussing somebody, dreams. I'm not a professional. I'm not a psychiatrist as far as this goes also. But this topic gets brought up a lot in the big cryptid, paranormal, and UFO communities, because a lot of people that don't want to believe or have never experienced, well, their safe answer is that it's pareidolia. You're not really seeing something. You're seeing a face on a tree. It's not really a Bigfoot. It's not a UFO. It's a helium balloon that's floated away. You're not seeing a ghost. It's a light off of a mirror.
Right.
So they make excuses up for it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I looked at was the fact that a lot of people confuse black bears for Bigfoot. That's what they say. What I have a problem with is I looked up male and female sizes of black bear. And like a male black bear goes anywhere from 130 pounds to 500 pounds plus. Female goes from 90 pounds to 350 pounds plus. Okay. But standing wise, they're 5 to 7 feet tall. Okay. A Bigfoot can be 7 feet tall. The problem I have is they don't walk anything like a Bigfoot would, like a bipedal creature would, because the gait's different.
Nope.
You watch a bear walk, it's short steps and the feet
I've
are
watched
different.
several of them, and I can tell you exactly how they move.
Wow.
And that's why we wanted to do this. But don't let people fool you. Yes, pareidolia is a real thing.
Yeah.
But if somebody saw something and experienced, I don't care if it's a B or an A experience they had, you've got to understand that a lot of people are stress about those experiences. That sticks in your head what you saw. If you see something walking, and yeah, Jim, right, it looks like a Bigfoot or nothing like a Bigfoot, right? That's what I meant to say. But it's not just Bigfoot. It's other, the chupacabra. Everybody associates that with coyotes and says it's a coyote or a rabid raccoon.
Exactly.
I think that's what really interests me about pareidolia is that seems to be the general excuse that people that don't want to believe or don't want to take the time to learn.
Mm-hmm.
We came into this, think I've seen a UFO. I believe in ghosts. I've always believed in Bigfoot. Have I seen either? Not that I know of, but I'm open to it because, part of it, Ken, was if the Indians were drawing these creatures and using symbols on their tents to represent these creatures or in their drawings. And to me, the American Indian or natives were spiritual beings. They were spiritual in everything. So they were probably drawing something that they saw and believed, just like the ancient Egyptians and hieroglyphics.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And a bear cannot walk on its hind legs for very far unless it has some sort of I don't know if anybody ever saw this, but there was a bear in New Jersey that they called Pedals because he had injured his 2 front legs and all he could do was walk around his hind feet.
Oh.
But then everyone got PO'd because a hunter ended up shooting him. But I mean, an animal like that is not living,
Yeah.
a very quality of life.
Right. Ken, you were going to say something?
I don't know.
Oh, good. That's,
Welcome
Probably.
to our show.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Ken,
I
do you
did
have
see-
a lot of bears in your area, or
We
Yeah,
haven't.
we have some.
okay?
We do have some. My uncle several years ago, he lives just right down close to me, or did live there. He's passed as well. But he saw one right in front of his house down there.
Yeah.
And there was one, I think it was killed crossing the highway. Somebody hit it.
We've had that happen around here, and they say we don't have them, even though
Yeah.
everybody's got them on Ring doorbell cameras now.
But we definitely have them. We definitely have them, among other things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Black,
we were.
what I wanted to say about the 500 pounds. We got one in Maine last year. It was 545.
Wow.
Well, I think
And
that's
they killed several that were 600 plus.
yeah. The one I read was the biggest one was like around 1,000 pounds.
That there was one in Pennsylvania actually that was hit by a combine probably about 8 years ago that was pushing 900.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like-
Where we live, the gentleman that built our house, he's just a good old boy, lives down the road. He said he was out here working one day and there were 2 baby black bear cubs up in the tree. They'd be probably 20 feet from us right now. But Tennessee was saying that bears weren't this far up. They were just getting into southern Tennessee.
It's like the state of Maryland says we don't have mountain lions. That's a load of BS. I've seen them. I've seen several pictures of them. You probably got them down there, Ken, and nobody will say, "Oh, yeah, you didn't see that."
Yeah, I have seen a Black Panther, but it was not here. But
Uh-huh.
I know people who have seen Black Panthers here, or what we call Black Panther.
Yeah.
Well, even D.A. Roberts told us a while back that when he was younger, they actually shot at one in Missouri
Wow.
Oh, wow.
while they were raccoon hunting, I think.
My dad always told me a story about when he was younger. He grew up right here on this road. I live on Tom Shiver's Road, which is named for my grandfather.
Oh, wow.
Because he originally homesteaded here. And so everybody around here, we're all in the family. And my dad and several of his brothers, they all ended up, building houses here or living here. And he told me the story when our road was still a dirt road, which it was a dirt road when I was young as well. But he would be coming up the road. There was a couple of times and he heard a panther screaming in the woods. It was pacing him. And he would stop and it would stop. And then he'd go and it would go. But he said it was a panther.
Sounds like it was something other than a panther.
I've always wondered. Well, I wonder about that now.
Yeah.
It was something different.
Mm.
I've not seen anything else around here, but I've heard screams. I've heard the fake owl sounds, and every dog within a mile going crazy one night. So that was about a year ago that happened. So there's no telling. But if you want a story about a bear, if you want proof, Google Pensacola black bear sighting. A couple of years ago, it may be 3 or 4 years ago now, time just flies by.
Yeah.
There was a bear that was in Pensacola in the city.
Well, Williams said.
McDonald's. The bear was at McDonald's. And it was on the news, so you can look that up. But there was a bear in Pensacola, Florida at a McDonald's.
There was
I
one
guess
on
we
the
like Big Macs.
liquor store parking lot last year. They got video of it. Was it eating out of the dumpster? Do they know what it was?
I don't think it was at the time. I want to say it maybe was up in a tree beside McDonald's. I can't remember exactly, but I thought that was pretty hilarious that he decided he wanted a Big Mac, I guess. So.
Does he not know that's
Or
not good
two.
for him? That's
I
not
guess
good.
Probably doesn't care.
That's true. Just get some food.
Yeah, but
Well-
that was crazy, right in Pensacola. So yeah, they're definitely around here.
Art, nice. And that's pretty good stuff, though. Art, you're right.
Fish.
Well, I just want our community to be strong, and I know a lot of people. I think we've done quite a few shows. 6 of ours, and we've been guests on others, and we've got to listen to a lot of other people's experiences. And I want our community to stay strong. Don't be afraid of, if you saw something, don't be afraid to tell people. I think times have changed. I think more people are accepting and willing. If you saw Bigfoot or a UFO, we know now that the UFO, the government's admitted they're real. I'm a anti-government guy for the most part. So whether they're just trying to fool us or, take our eyes somewhere else, but not everybody's going to believe, and they never are. I mean, some people are very closed-minded, and why we wanted to do this is because that is the number one excuse of why people say that these things aren't real, because you're seeing a shadow, you're seeing a whatever. And I want people to be strong with this and believe what you believe. I haven't seen it, and I believe it, because it can't. Why? We'll do another show on creatures that were supposedly extinct, but now we're finding them after some of them. A fish that was well over, I think, 6 million years old. They thought was extinct for 6 million years, the coelacanth, and now they find them. So I just want people to be vigilant and stick up for yourself, and don't be afraid to tell of your experiences. Obviously, there's so many shows out there now that people are sharing their stories, and to do that over and over and over again and not change your story means that it happened. Police work in a way where they'll ask you questions, and then they'll ask you questions again, the same questions, and they're looking for you to slip up a little bit. And I'm not seeing that with these communities. And I think in my heart, that's why I thought this was a great topic. Same with, she said,
Sorry, there was a rabbit in the yard. My beagle was going nuts. I had to
It wasn't disturbing us.
But you got anything else you want to add to it? I mean, we're love to stay in chat if you guys want to chat.
As far as the topic that we started with,
the topic of dreams, that's something I'd really like to.
I've had several of those. Man.
Yeah, we'll have to do a whole show on dreams.
Yeah, I know. I shared a dream with Jeff and them on Old Lines, or maybe it was Beards and Boogers or whatever.
One of them.
Because I had never had one affect me like this one did. And I want to do a whole show, and just where people talk about the dreams they've had and maybe what they felt, instead of trying to read your dream, because I think that whole reading your dream thing is a whole nother science that I don't know if I want to go down, because it's so much to it.
Yeah. And I personally was so interested in it as like a preteen and young teenager. I actually did keep a dream journal, but it got to the point where it was interrupting my sleep or my focus. And I just was like, it's not worth it. And really, who's to tell you? It just seems so far-fetched that you can't rely on any information you can find on that,
But yeah, we'll definitely do a whole show on that. And Ken, that's when you got back with us, or back with her, I figured it was probably more on the dream part of it. And it's tough to find people that want to come on and talk about that stuff. So Jeffrey, Ken, we'll hit you guys up. Everybody in chat, if there's anything you want to talk about, ever. An experience of, it doesn't have to be big. Obviously, we're not just a Bigfoot show at all. I mean, we'll touch on we'll have a cryptid show, but we want to touch on everything. I feel this is a good spot for people to kind of get their feelings off their chest, to talk about things maybe it's hard to talk about, but you have such a caring community here that it will listen and help if they need it, help you if you need it. Erica's sharing our email address.
If you have any topics you want us to cover or that you want to be a part of, absolutely let us know.
Yeah, we want to do one. I know Moggs has talked about out of body experience. We want to do something with that, maybe in the dream thing as well. I know, and with Ken, maybe we could do stuff about, spiritual stuff as far as the American Indian
And dreams too.
and dreams, of course. But I know I contacted David Beasley and he was like, you need to talk to Ken Shivers. But
That's
yeah. And the first time I met him was at the meet and greet for woodwalkers, and he had his leathers on, or whatever the Indians call their outfit. It was really cool to see him dressed like that. And I was like, I'd like to learn more. And I think a lot of other people would like to learn more. So we'll have to definitely get you guys on, and Pyro and anybody that has Indian background for sure, or Native American.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'd like that.
Awesome. And
Misty's got one she wants to ask.
Okay.
Misty, her and I have been talking about the moon a lot lately. How, the smiley face moon. I've never heard anybody talk about the smiley face moon. And I believe that I've ever seen the moon look like that. I don't know. I probably never paid attention, but now that I'm older, I love the stars and everything. But I definitely think it seems interesting.
And it's been so hazy or foggy lately, and it just seemed a little odd, especially last night. I know Misty earlier had posted she is listening but working on her fence. So thank you for stepping back in, Misty. Does anybody else, have they had any experience recently in changes of the moon or the night sky at all?
The moon definitely seemed different here lately.
But let me also say this is now a form of pareidolia, because we're talking about it, and now we're talking about it. People are going to look at the moon and say, oh, that does look different, when maybe it, we don't know. But that's what pareidolia is.
It could be.
Power of suggestion.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things
Right.
that, another one with pareidolia are numbers. So the people that talk about, which today for both of us, when it became 11:11, she said, hey, it's 11:11. And then it was 12:34. I had just gotten done doing something on the computer and looked up, it was 12:34. Those are another type of pareidolia. It seems really odd. And I feel that I see those two numbers, at least 3 to 4 times a week. So I've seen 11:11 since I was a kid. But those are another form of pareidolia.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether I'm just paying attention more, or my body's to the point where I'm hungry, and I look up, it's 11:11, and I'm hungry every day at 11:11 or near 11:11. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Or when you wake up at certain times of night.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was that? I was trying to think of the Amityville Horror. It was like 2:34 or something. He kept waking up. And I did that one night. I woke up at like whatever it was, 2:15 or something. And I woke up and I was like,
I wake up in that time frame a lot too.
Yeah, try to go back to sleep then.
I do. Unless I'm listening to a show like I was last night.
And you're trying to sleep, or you're still awake?
Oh, I never went to sleep last night until
Oh my goodness.
I got back from that concert, and then I called Greg on the way home. He's like, yeah, we're doing a show, and like, we should be getting it ready here in like the next half hour. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll have something to do when I get back to the house.
Yeah, I saw like 3 different podcasts last night. I was trying to go back and forth and see some of all of it. And I was about ready to go to bed after that. And Brother Billy sent me a message that the Night Owls were coming on. So I said, okay, I'll hop on. And I think it was 4 o'clock this morning when it ended.
Holy cow.
Like
Misty,
that,
come on.
It's 3:34, somewhere in that.
Now, Ken, you're in Alabama. So you're in Alabama, so you're central, right?
Central.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You guys, I've got unfortunately, I have I'm an hour ahead. So
yeah.
everybody else is behind me on the East Coast.
Yeah, it was good though. I couldn't leave it. I had to stay with it.
Aw.
Yeah, we started watching for a while, and then we both got.
Yeah, I saw you. Y'all were
Yeah,
on
we.
there.
She's like, "I'm ready for bed," and I was like, "Yeah, let's go." I don't get a whole lot of sleep, so I take advantage of it when I get tired.
Mhm.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to talk
Right.
about that's related to pareidolia? I mean, I appreciate you guys both coming on.
Absolutely.
Again, if anybody else wants to come on, now that we've talked about it, we can talk about other things.
Mhm.
I don't care. Jeff, how was your concert last night?
It was awesome. Got to see George Strait for the first time. We left the concert early because Philadelphia traffic is. Hey, stop it! I'm
Hey,
gonna
if your
put
dog
you
wants
back
to
in
be
the
on,
cage.
bring your dog on.
Aw.
But it was good. We left a little early, and I'm glad we did because some of my friends didn't leave till like right at the end. And they said they took them like 3.5 hours to get home, and it was not that far. So
I
95
don't
must have been backed up.
Yes.
But I saw Chris Stapleton too, and that was a show in itself.
Oh,
I want
Boo
to
boo.
right there.
see.
Boo boo.
And a cat.
Aw.
He's
Hey.
about to have a fit.
Stop.
Come here, boo. Boo boo. Look, say hello. Boo boo.
Little
Say
Miss
hello.
Boo Boo.
No.
Aw. Wow, she's excited.
Come on, get up here.
She's always excited.
Aw. Oh, look at the baby.
No, Loretta, you're a lab. You cannot sit in my lap.
Yeah, I think somebody needs to have it. We'll have a show with your animals on with you. Everybody have their cats or dogs on there. I would like to say we could do that, but our cat does not want to be held. So.
Yeah, it would be 5 seconds.
Yeah, I'll have to go park in the pasture and see how many cows try to tear stuff off the side of the truck while I'm sitting there.
That'd be fun though, for us.
Not until you got to replace stuff.
I'm sorry. Coonbo's made my night last night.
Yeah.
Questions that he answered. Did you see it, Jeff? About
Yeah.
when he was talking about the boogers? You know, I asked the question: did he think they had a soul, or could they have salvation? And his
I think
answer,
more and more about that these days.
yeah, I always have, and but you can watch the episode if you want to get his answer. You know, I'm not going to try to, you know, I'll get it wrong everything he said, but basically, you know,
Well,
he
I'd
was
like to
talking
hear
about
it.
our pets. He was talking about our animals, our pets, you know, and
Yeah.
he was talking about, you know, there's evidence, you know, there will be animals in heaven,
Mhm.
you know, and most people believe that boogers, you know, they're a lot closer related to us than animals, or, you know, like our dogs and cats. So his answer was really interesting.
I would definitely be curious to hear that. We'll have to go back and listen to
It's
that.
always interesting to hear him talk about that stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
to be at, you know, I would trust his word, and to be at that level, I cannot even imagine, you know, that depth of knowledge or how you feel about it. But I would definitely believe what his opinion is.
Well, I've always
Absolutely.
respected his opinion over a lot of the other people's stuff just because of, you know, what he's been around all these years. So,
Exactly.
I mean, the man's a legend. I can't
Brother
really.
Gary.
Mhm. And then what Gary just said, that to me is eye-opening. I just can't deny it, but it's something I've never thought of before. But seeing
Yeah.
that, I
I mean,
wouldn't
Just the
disagree. I mean,
interactions that I've had being in the woods around them, I've
Brother
never
Billy,
really
it
seen one.
could be very true.
But I feel like there's definitely more to them than just an ape.
Absolutely.
There's got to be. I mean, we can't really find them, and they don't interact with us, so they have the ability to hide very well. So,
well, we don't speak the same language.
well,
so
we don't.
can't.
Yeah, well,
If they do interact with us, but
Well, I mean, like I said, when I was hunting a couple weeks ago out in Western Maryland, I heard what everybody calls the samurai chatter, and it sounds just like a conversation. I got out of my hammock to pee in the middle of the night, and everybody else was asleep, and it sounded like it was coming from the fire. Then I realized the fire had died down, and you could hear the conversation. I got out, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, all right, I'm just getting out to pee. I'm gonna get back in here in a minute.
I don't know what I would have done then.
Hey, at this point, it really takes something to really freak me out. So, I mean, maybe it's just because I grew up working around livestock and stuff all my life. It's just,
Yeah.
you don't bother them, they're not going to bother you.
Yeah.
Now the dog man, no, I've had those encounters, and I'm not. Let's say I'm not going to go over there and try to shake hands with it.
Would you consider it just pure evil?
I always get a weird, like, I haven't gotten it very often, but I get a creepy, like, feeling from that.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons I didn't go back to that place in West Virginia.
It's always interesting to me to listen to everybody's experiences because I hear so many different but similar stories as far as how it affected people. Some people say they're not, didn't affect them at all, but we've seen people break down after telling about their experience, and that obviously is a little form of PTSD. If you're having that experience that affected you that much, and we came into all of this with an open mind, and the more we've learned.
Hey, Erica, is there a draft behind you guys? Because that curtain keeps moving.
Yeah, the window's open.
I hope this isn't a river situation.
Thank you for
curtain starts
noticing.
lifting off of the wall. I figured out last couple of times I talked to him, I was like, River, what happened to that curtain? He's like, man, I had to take that thing off because Billy will tell you this. He was talking to him, and he could see like a face in the window.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
No way.
That's a little close.
He'd take that curtain down. That curtain would lift all the way from straight up, and it would just be hanging.
No.
And I'm like,
I hope River's doing okay. I hope he's doing better.
You haven't had anything like that happen, have you, Ken? Curtains doing weird stuff.
I missed that.
Have you ever had a curtain move when there was no wind in the house?
No, but I've had something crazier.
Oh.
Okay. Do tell.
This was crazy. My mom and dad's house is just down in front of me. I built a house. My wife and we built a house back in the woods behind them. And my mom passed in 2015 and my dad in 2016. So after that, it wasn't long after he had passed. I was down there late one night. I was going through some paperwork and things like that. I was sitting in the kitchen at the bar, and there's a ceiling fan there, and the ceiling fan was going, because it was, pretty hot. And I had the ceiling fan going, and all of a sudden the ceiling fan just came to a dead stop. It didn't really slow down. It just stopped.
That's creepy.
And I walked over and, played with the light switch, pulling the chains. And so I figured, the ceiling fan's gone, or something. And I sat back down at the bar. And maybe 5 minutes later, the ceiling fan started again.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Billy just responded to that thing about the ghost.
I just felt like, at the time, I felt like, it was just my dad, letting me know that everything was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's wonderful for
crazy,
you that you had
pretty
that.
crazy.
Yeah.
I
I'm glad
actually
you
had
had a good
something like
feeling
that.
from that.
It wasn't equipment or anything, but in our milking parlor, when you step down in there, it's like metal grating. And I don't know if anybody's ever, worked on metal grating or ever been standing on it, somebody else steps down in behind you. You can like feel that shift.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my great grandfather died in the barn.
Oh,
He was actually scrubbing the milk tank. They found him. He's probably close to my grandfather's age that my grandfather was when he passed. And they don't know if he had a heart attack or if he just like fell off the stool and hit his head, but that was where they found him. And I think that was him the one morning when I was in there by myself.
Oh,
It
wow.
didn't feel like it didn't feel like an evil presence or anything. It was just like, somebody else was there, and it didn't feel bad or anything. So I just chalked it up to that was him checking on things.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
That's another show we've talked about doing is like a spiritual experience,
Yeah.
something that's similar to both of your stories there. I'm sure I can't think of any offhand. I probably have most of mine involve dreams where I've had things happen in dreams and woke up and they seemed like it was the most real thing. From my grandmother giving me a hug after she passed to my father giving me a hug and after he passed, and telling me everything was going to be all right, whatever. It was, we'll discuss that on the dream show, of course.
Yeah.
But that stuff is always interesting to me.
Yeah.
I know that we're electric. We have electrical currents that run through our body. And in the past, I've talked about on different shows how I believe the people that have seen Bigfoot or other cryptids have a different energy level, that maybe they have the ability to pick up a higher energy, and that's how they're seeing these creatures. I don't know. I've been asked if I think they're flesh and blood or if I think, paranormal or whatever. I don't know. I can't make that assumption. But if it leaves footprints, there's got to be something there. If it didn't leave footprints, then it would float above the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, we'll do a dream show, and I really want, if we do a dream show, to have everybody come on.
Yeah. My grandmother actually had a dream of my grandfather a couple weeks after he passed.
Okay. Yep.
And that was interesting.
Yeah, we definitely want to hear. We don't have a date yet for the dreams show, but it will be, I would say, sometime in June.
Yeah.
We got another one you could do a show on, Chad, and it's related to what just happened in Florida with the bears. That they
the bear
usually went into the guy's house and killed him outside. And
that's a tough one because DA and Robbie did a fantastic show on that. So that's a tough one to kind of follow up to.
Well, it opens up a lot of questions as to why stuff like that happens and then it's never talked about again.
Right. And that happens all the time with different things. Somebody said that a Bigfoot was airlifted out of North Carolina during the floods, and people talked about it over and over, but then it was just forgotten about. Nobody talked about it after that. Again, I don't know if it happened or not, but people talked about it.
They also, there was a lot of people talked about seeing them, the military had bodies of them after Mount St. Helens.
Yep, heard about that too.
But then a lot of people said, "Oh no, that didn't happen." And I'm like,
who were those people?
Why are all these guys saying they saw these bodies? And then it didn't happen.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we're going to end this here simply because we're starting to get in some other shows.
Yeah, and real quick, Deb said I never remember my dreams. And I'm going to say that is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because if you wake up in the middle of the night and then you can't, some people have racing thoughts at that time.
Yes.
So that's a good thing in that perspective. But so next Sunday will be the 18th. We won't be doing a show. We may start doing some shorts around that time. But then 2 weeks from now will be the 25th. And that is the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. We have a tentative show of mental health, but it will depend on our guest. She has had some tough times with family recently, and so anyhow, it's tentative on that. But that will be Sunday the 25th. So our topic may be changing from mental health, but we'll definitely be back for a regular show on the 25th.
And real quick before we leave, I also forgot to mention that your emojis that you use off of your cell phone, those are also pareidolia. Because if you look at that, all they are is a round circle with maybe 2 slashes and a C. We look at them as faces, but it's a pareidolia. Other people could look at it differently. So just take that, into mind. When it's all over the place. It's everywhere around you. So all I ask you people to do, all my friends out there, is don't let people get to you. If you saw something, don't be afraid to share it, because we can't stay silent about this stuff. Mm-hmm. Everybody stayed too silent too long. And it's like the UFO community that would talk and talk and talk, and people weren't afraid, and people were coming out, and eventually they disclosed that UFOs were real. And pilots are now saying they've seen them. Astronauts say they've seen them. So let's hope that happens with the cryptid community. That's all I wanted to say to that.
And thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you to Wing Clan Ken and Milkman Jeff for joining us on the show this evening. And thank you to our moderators.
Yeah, thank you. All moderators, whoever you are, thank you. You do a great job. Gary Spikes, awesome. Thank you for sharing shows, because everybody needs to watch these shows that are very informative. Mm-hmm. And Win Ken, Ken, I just say personally, I'm glad to finally meet you.
Yeah.
Me too.
You seem like a very, very interesting person. I like interesting people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this I can't even remember when I joined the Woodwalkers, but I've met so many people. But most of the people, I have not met yet, because I've not been able to go to any of the meet and greets yet. Mm-hmm. But the ones I have met, they're just family, and mm-hmm. everybody else, we chat and things. And the ones that do the podcast, like you guys, it just seems like I know y'all. You're just your family,
Well,
so I haven't.
that way.
I've got a lot of people from over at Woodwalkers to thank for getting me started, because I came out into this bunch last year and things just kind of snowballed, and now here we are. So
agreed. But I love it.
We also, besides doing the podcast, another reason we wanted to do it is I'm learning so much from every show we're on or that we're doing, more than I probably did in high school. Or I pay a lot more attention to these things than I did the stuff in high school. Mm-hmm. But this is a great place for people to get together. None of us, we've been to one meet and greet and one convention. Mm-hmm. So we've met Roger, Greg, Misty, Spencer, and a lot of the group that went to the Woodwalkers in Sylacauga. I want to meet everybody. And the more people we can have on our show, just to shoot the shite or whatever, I want that, because that allows us to see who we're talking to see all the, hear all the stories or the experiences. And that's what I like about all of this. Yep. So we're informing you, and you inform us back. We learn things, and you learn things.
It's a great community.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't say anything better about everybody. Yes, Ken?
I got to ask you. A question.
Is it about the zip line?
I was just going to ask you, are there any pics with pareidolia in it of a zip line?
There might be some photographic evidence that some of my friends still have of that video, and they had to blur it out because I was naked when I went out of there. So,
Oh, I can't say anything, Jeff, because that was me.
it was cold too. It was like March.
Oh,
I had to ask you. Pyro brought it up, so I had to.
I
I had to
know.
I don't know if they still use that zip line over at the quarry or not. I gotta ask Joey.
It's probably retired. They probably
Yeah,
retired.
I have a feeling somebody probably broke it doing something they weren't supposed to, knowing the bunch that I used to run around with. It's hard to say. We still get together and talk about some of that stuff once in a while, and it's.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun stuff.
I just look at stuff like that now, and you would think at 35 I wouldn't be an old man now, but I look at stuff and I'm like, man, that's gonna hurt if I try to do that.
absolutely.
Sometimes I say that before I get out of bed.
I used to jump up. Well, one of the stories that I've been told, because I was a partier back in the day, was we went to a house at one of our school rivals. These guys had threatened to beat us up or whatever. But apparently, from what I'm told, I climbed up onto the roof of the house, and when they came out the door, I jumped off the roof onto them. Now, I don't know if it's sad that I don't remember that, and other people tell me the story, but if I even thought about jumping off of a milk crate right now, I would think about how much pain I would probably be in. Age.
I don't even climb over gates like I used to, unless I'm in a hurry.
Anyway,
Something's got to be chasing me if I'm climbing a gate and jumping off of it. Now I'm just like, can I just open the gate and walk through and close the gate again?
yeah, you look for the easy way to do things.
Not in so much of a hurry anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
All right,
if you
gentlemen,
just roll under it.
If you ever see me run somewhere or trying to run, you better run too.
That's what I tell everybody
Right,
too.
babe.
Yeah. I always try to pick my friends by who's slower than me. So
I'm
If
too
something's
fat, so
chasing
I'm
me-
not doing too much running anymore.
it's time to fight. No fight.
Yeah.
Anyway, gentlemen, thank you.
DA and I have discussed that on several occasions. We're too fat to run away from anything, so
God.
whatever happens, we're fighting it.
Yeah, as they say, fight or flight. I don't know that I can do either one. So
Aww.
Now it's fight, flight, or shoot. I guess that's the only way we can.
yeah, that's the best option right
That's
there.
right.
I'm just gonna
All right,
so
gentlemen.
whatever happens.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks for hopping on here, guys.
Thank you.
Totally appreciate it.
Fun
Enjoyed it.
show.
Ken, we'll get a hold of
Happy
you.
Mother's Day, Erica.
Yes,
Happy
Well,
Mother's
thank
Day
you.
to all our ladies.
My cat's around here somewhere.
That was something else. I think it was Southern Belle.
yeah.
Selena.
So,
Yeah, I was watching her last night too, and she was talking about Mother's Day, and all our mothers are special, especially those that have gone on. It's can be hard.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of ladies, that don't have children, they have their fur babies, and she was talking about that, and ladies that have lost children as well.
Oh,
and
yeah.
several
It's a
friends.
tough time, but
Yeah.
all of our
Selena will
ladies.
be on tonight in 30 minutes.
Yeah, everybody, when you're done here, go check out Selena, please.
Yep.
Ken,
Happy Mother's
Thank
Day
you
to
so much,
all the
Ken.
ladies, all
Mhm.
the ladies.
absolutely.
Thank you.
And
That's
if you don't have children, I'm sure you are a mother to your husband for sure.
Yeah, she takes care of me. She takes care
All
of me.
right.
Chad, how old are your kids?
Cameron's 29. It's sad that I don't. Cameron's 29. He'll be 30. So Cassie's 25. So they're in their 20s, upper 20s, which I don't even like to think about because, that
Yeah.
makes you feel older.
Yeah.
I can remember when I was 25 and 29.
My
Yeah,
son's
that's why I do all
28.
those things that make me hurt now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there was a good post I saw earlier. I just tried to look it up, but I can't find it now. About mothers and the different types and everything. So anyway, my best friend
Yeah,
I couldn't see it on her page
And something
anymore.
else too, the guys, there's You know, I became a single parent when my son was 15.
Oh,
That's
wow.
2011 when my wife passed.
Mm.
So after that, I was mom and dad for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
both.
I
Yeah,
can't
mine
imagine.
decided she didn't want to be on the farm anymore. So
Yeah.
that was,
Love them while they're here. That's for sure. Love your moms.
Absolutely.
Love your grandmas. They were moms
Yep.
too.
Yeah, I'll be calling my granny after the show. She's 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
It's
That's
amazing.
And
She's
she is
That
awesome.
is amazing.
we
Yeah.
we had a neighbor lady that was 100 and good Lord, she must have been 103 when she passed.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's crazy. That's awesome, but
I know. What a great show. We appreciate
Yeah.
y'all being here and
was great.
returning on the show. We're curious to see the other topics that we cover. So
yeah.
Well, there's a
hope
lot
you all
more
have
to
a
it
great
than just
time.
the cryptids. I'll tell you
Oh, for
that.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody make sure Gary's been posting other shows on the
Yeah.
chat. Check them all out.
Here's Selena's show.
I know Ken's in almost all of them. Jeffrey's in almost all of them. We try to hit all of them.
Mhm.
Hit them all. You'll
Oh,
learn.
this Thursday night, I'll be on with Roger and Squatch
Okay.
and Holly.
That's right. That's
Awesome.
right.
Thursday night.
We won't miss that one.
Yep.
So if you
Y'all-
can, tune in.
We will.
Absolutely. Let's see. Gary, would you care to share that again? I know you did before, but the Squatch and Holler link. Since Wind Clan Ken will be there on Thursday. Let's see.
You can call me whatever. I'll respond.
Well, I try to use your real name.
Well,
I've got
I've
a lot of names.
Is Wind Clan an Indian? I mean, is that like your Indian name, or is that the clan you?
that's my clan, the Wing Clan, which
Okay.
is Hodogolgi.
Okay.
Hodogolgi. That's Wing
I-
Clan.
Okay.
And
I look
my-
forward to that show.
My Creek name or my Muskogee name is Hoduli Hudgi, which is White Wind.
Oh wow.
That's-
Okay.
yeah. That's the name I was given at ceremony.
Oh wow.
That's
They
awesome.
still do the ceremonies, Ken?
What's that?
They still do ceremonies like that? Or
Oh yeah, yeah. My ceremonial grounds is in Oklahoma, so I've made a lot of trips to Oklahoma through the years, and the green corn, that's the ceremony. You go there, and typically, you have to go 4 years consecutively before you receive your name. But
how
then
many years?
4
Oh.
consecutively. I've been more, than 4, but as I get older, it's harder and harder to make the trip because the ceremony's really physically demanding.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of work, fasting, nothing to eat or drink, during the day when you're working. And I've been out there when it was 110.
Sounds like you're
Oh.
getting a blood test done or something. It's blood work.
It's,
But more to it.
it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's rewarding, very rewarding. So I've learned a lot,
Yeah,
just
I've always
from,
been interested in that kind of stuff. That's been a
For sure.
Well, that sounds like a great show.
Yeah.
yeah.
Anything
I
that you
am
care to share.
Super interested in that.
Absolutely.
Well, again, gentlemen, thank you very much. We're gonna
Yep.
get dinner and get on with our Sunday. We're so glad you were here, everybody.
Mhm.
Thank you for being in chat and giving us some stories and questions. We appreciate that.
Mhm.
Again, we will not be here next Sunday.
Right.
Hopefully Woodwalkers is back for a show. That way, something to occupy your Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. Other than that, everybody have a great evening. Happy Mother's Day. We love you all. And
Yes.
Ken, we'll be getting a hold of you, and Jeffrey, I'll be talking to you every day. So we'll see you probably Tuesday night, if I believe.
And Brother
Yeah.
Gary, I see
Yeah.
your question. Where at in Oklahoma?
Uh-huh.
In the Henrietta, not in Henrietta, but west of there, a few miles. That's
Okay.
where the grounds are at.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
We will be having our 1-year anniversary show this
Yep.
week. So
Yes,
Oh,
that's
that's great.
awesome.
working on some. Hopefully, we'll have some special guests for that. Working on that right now, but we'll just we really appreciate everybody that's been following us since then, and
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to where things go. So
Yep.
Congratulations, old liners.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. All right, everybody. Good night. Have good dreams. And until next time,
Yep.
we'll see you
Good
guys.
night, everybody.
Oh, that's
Good
8
night,
o'clock,
everybody.
Billy. Billy want to know what time. All right. Well, everybody, we will see you later.
Good to
Good
see
seeing
you,
you
everybody.
That was an accident.
again.
I usually let her shut the show down and I try to do it.
Hold on one second, because our door closed. You could see the wind blowing.
Oh, I got it.
So Kitty is like, "Oh no, the door's shut."
No, she's not.
Oh no, then it was something else.
And my grandmother's cat just had kittens, so I was up at the house looking at them.
Oh, well, I loved you guys joining and what we talked about, and definitely the ideas on other shows and the information. And I just love to get to know everybody better and hearing their stories.
Yeah, I do too.
And like I said in the beginning, we're not
I'll get that.
we're not professional in anything. We're not psychiatrists. We're not squatchers as far as what we've seen or not seen. But I am a person that's always wanted to learn about everything. And I tell everybody, well, she'll brag about it. She's like, you're exceptionally smart, but I'm exceptionally smart in everything I don't need to be exceptionally smart in. So like, if it comes to music trivia, I can kick some ass. If it comes to celestial stuff and stars, I'm pretty good at that. Just overall trivia knowledge that doesn't really need to be known, I am great at it. But when I get
Movie quotes from the 1990s. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So before each show, this week, like I said, we had a change from dreams to pareidolia. I'll sit down usually about Wednesday or Thursday if we know what the show is, and I'll start gathering information. And if we have guests about a topic, like we did a January 6th episode from a guy that was firsthand there, I came up with questions prior to that I could ask. That was a show where I really didn't need to know a lot because I was getting somebody else's experience. But we have to come up with questions and learn that way, because that's the only way we're going to learn anything. So,
Yep. Jeff, was it one of the shows this week somebody brought up